Hello everyone again. Just adjust the camera a little bit. What I wanted to do today, I've got a crap ton of games next to me that you can't see, but I wanted to do a game collecting tips video, episode 2. I think I've done like 2 tips in the first episode, or 3 or something, but this is episode 2. What I want to talk about today is imports. Being that I'm in Australia, and I said this a lot, Australian pricing sucks, especially on retro games. I go to the local pawn shop chain, Cash Converters. $29. Okay, 29 Australian dollars for Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. It's ridiculous. It's fucking stupid. Occasionally you get a good deal from there. Like I got Steeplechase, I think, for the Atari, and the horse riding. That's a horse riding game, and some other, and the 2 rare ones for Atari for $5 each box to complete. That's because I didn't know what they were talking about, but that's something completely different. You occasionally get good deals in Australia. I'm not going to lie, but it's very hard to do. It seems that there aren't very many charity shops, and there aren't many games that go to charity shops around here, so there aren't many good deals to be had. But you do get some. So basically what I do is I import a lot of games from America. Usually game plus postage comes at less to be less than what the game is here, so I do that a lot. The only problem is with some of the games you have to have a modded console, which isn't a big deal for me. I do the mods myself. Or an actual international console like the N64 and the NES both need international consoles for the games to play correctly. The NES you can play games, but they go in retard mode, as Stephen calls it, so that's fun. So I thought I'd just talk about a couple of games and the differences. So firstly, which one's this? This is mine. Now broken. My bad. Super Mario Bros. 2 NES cart, okay? This is mine from my childhood. I played the shit out of this. This is actually a really good game. And for those who say this is Doki Doki Panic, it's not part of the Mario thing, believe it or not, they made Doki Doki Panic based on what they were trying to do for Mario. So it's actually technically a Mario game. This is the American NES cart. You'll notice they are the same, which is good. I have some OCD. I won't say I suffer from it, it's not a big deal for me, but I have OCD. I like things to look the same, I like things to be neat. When you have 2 of the same thing from 2 different regions and you can get them for the same price, for a lot cheaper from another region, I like to get them. And the NES carts are a good example. I bought a big pack of NES carts for really cheap. And even with postage, it comes with $300 for like 125 games. So I wasn't going to complain. So yeah, they're cool. I like that. They're the same. Then you bring in Famicom. Looks like a cassette tape. If you're too young to remember what a cassette tape is, you shouldn't be collecting retro games. Actually, you should. Everyone should be collecting retro games. But you can see it's weird. I don't mind this because being that it's another language, I technically consider it another system. Because, you know, it's a different game. Like if I have Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario Bros. 2 on the US version as well, they're going to be the same. One's going to play faster because of the 50-60 Hz split, but they're going to be the same game. This one is Super Mario Bros. 1. I'm sure there might be at least one Japanese character in there somewhere, so it's technically a different game. I'm probably wrong about that though. So yeah, NES, American to Australian and PAL, very good. To NTSCJ, not so good, but I still like to look at them, and they fit really well. They actually fit it in tape holders, so if you want to collect these, get tape holders. They're really cheap. Alright, so that's that one. The next one, so I've got the boxes as well, between NTSC and PAL. The only difference I've noticed is you got this revision A here, and this one says Mattel version, PAL version. PAL system. I think I have a Japanese... Oh, I do, hang on. I have one. I think this is Famicom. Yep. This is a Famicom box. They look very much like Super Nintendo games, but I'm pretty sure this is a special one because it's a double-sized cart. So I can't be 100% sure that's going to stay correct for all of them. But you can see they are different, obviously. You know, they're the same. Oh yeah, they're a little bit thicker, but the same kind of size that way, so you can stack them like that, and they'd look pretty cool together. That's what I do anyway. So yeah, I like that they're all the same. So if you're the kind of person who likes to collect it and make it look all the same, NES between PAL and NTSC, very much your way to go. The next one is the SNES. So here is Bubsy, the PAL version. So you can see the cart, rounded edges, and all that kind of stuff. It's a very it looks exactly like the SNES, you know, rounded edges and all that kind of stuff. It looks like they're meant to be together, okay? And the same with the Japanese Super Famicom games. It's the same system, Just, I think the colour scheme's different. No, the same colours. Yeah, we have the colourful logo as well, and our controllers are colourful. Oh, yeah, same colours. So it's the same system. That one just says Super Famicom, and I think it looks just a slightly bit different, like the coat of paint or something. It looks a bit different. Not the colour, just the way it's done. Weird thing, I know. So that's cool. And considering there are like very few Japanese games I'd actually want, it doesn't really apply to me. But and then you have the American ones. This Congo's Caper. Very square, very boxy. And then you pick up the American SNES, and it's very square and very boxy. So I like the way they've done that. They've made the cart look like the systems. Like, very much so. You've got the two little things down there, and you've got that. That's like the eject button, and yeah, I'm looking too far in. I personally like these better just for a collecting point of view, because these stack really well because they're very square, so they're very stable. These ones, after you get 2 or 3 on there, they start to slide around and wobble. So, not so great. But I don't mind having the 2 separate things just for... So I like the way these stack, and I like these because they're from home, That said, I would rather have all of one or all of the other, but from a price point, it's really not viable for me to get all the PAL games. It's not even viable for me to get all the SNES games, the American games, especially off eBay and stuff, because people bid on eBay. That said, I have got good deals on eBay. I'll say that again. I got eBay for Eden for like $3. eBay on a bid too. So I should have grabbed the Super Famicom box out. I'm organised. So I have boxed games from all 3 regions here. So I got Street Fighter 2 here, and I got Mega Man X. I'm going to look at them and see if I can... Okay, you can kind of see the difference on the front anyway. This one has the Super Nintendo logo and PAL version. This one has the Super Nintendo logo down the bottom and the black borders and stuff. On the side you can tell the difference too. The Super Nintendo labels. But all in all, same size box, same dimensions. They look very much similar from the side at least. And from the back. I'm looking at it, doesn't really help you. And then you got the Super Famicom games, which looks oddly like a VHS cart. I would actually guess that this is a VHS box size. So if you have Super Famicom boxed games, get a a VHS holder, and you'll probably be able to stick all these in there. But there are slightly different dimensions, like they're a bit taller and they're a lot skinnier. But I kind of like them, to be honest. I do like the way they look. They ring nostalgia for VHS tapes. If you're too young to remember VHS tapes, that's good. They're awful. They were good for the time, but they're awful. Okay, what's next? Let's go Genesis and Mega Drive. So I don't have any boxed Genesis games. I only got the 1 Genesis game. 2 if you count, actually 52. But I got, Mercs, and I got Rock Knight Adventures. You can see they are exactly the same. The labels are different, obviously. One says Genesis, one says Mega Drive. To be honest, the Mega Drive game looked kind of washed out. I'm hoping that's just this cart. In Australia, we don't get labels here. Like, I've got PC games, and all of it is just a typed label, and you look at the American version, it's big printed and art, and we get shit. Our distributors suck. So, yeah. Exactly the same carts. The boxes are the same size. I think there's just got a red border instead of we got black borders. I like the black better. It's a lot more subtle. Doesn't really burn your eyes when you try to look for a game. What else have we got over here? Oh yeah, this is I wasn't going to show these, but that's your PAL Mega Drive thing. So you get the black borders and the black sides. And these hang on, black lines going through it. And this isn't a Sega published game, so I don't know how accurate this is towards the rest of the Genesis library, but the red border, I've seen that a lot on a lot of collection videos online. So yeah, Fantasy World Dizzy. Not Fantasy Dizzy. Fantastic Dizzy. I don't know. Alright, let's go Sega CD next. I put all the ones I want to do next over there and they're the other way. So I've got 2 Mega CD games, and they both look like this. Double CD covers with, the book in one side and, the awful CD in the other. So both my PAL games, and all the ones I've seen look like this. And then this is the only one of the only American games I own for the Mega CD. And, they get the big long box. The only thing I don't like about these is the cardboard boxes. I find that very silly, especially when you had the Sega Genesis games or Mega Drive games and the Master System games. The plastic clamshells, and they're indestructible. And now you can find hundreds, like 99% of the games you find have covers, and they're all in really good condition. But not so much with Mega CD, NES, SNES, N64. They're hard to find because they're cardboard. They break very easily. So yeah, I don't like that. But you Americans, they don't swap a Rooney on me with this one. So I got Sega Saturn. And this is your American Sega Saturn game with the really huge looking clamshell, and I like this. I think this is awesome. I like things that intimidate the rest of the things on the shelf next to it. And then you got PAL Saturn games, and look at this. It's actually cardboard on top of the plastic clamshell without any protection. This is shit. Every one of these Saturn games I've ever seen is absolutely fucked. I mean, and the cover is just literally just 2 bits of these plastic glued to the cardboard. So there's not even any contiguity through the middle, so they rip. I mean, this is ridiculous. I would much rather have these, but these are hard to find in Australia. I honestly don't know where I got this from. Where did I get this from? But yeah, it's hard to find. The only thing I don't like about these odd-sized clamshells is they're hard to replace. The only way you can replace your Sega Saturn clamshell is by buying a Sega Saturn game. But at least you could fix these. This one, you can't. Once it's done, it's done. If you break the little clips to hold the CD, you have to throw the game out, more or less. So yeah, I like this better, but it's still a bad idea considering they're non-standard. I can't go to, like, with this game, I can go to a CD store, or I go on eBay and buy a brand new CD case and replace it. That's easy, easy done. These ones I can't, and it's stupid, and I hate that because these games look like shit, and that's the way I found them. There's nothing I can do about it. Anyway, speaking of stupid size CD cases, well then I'm in second anyway. So you got Dreamcast American, Dreamcast Japanese. I believe the two systems look the same. You both got the red swirl on the NTSC ones. Both. Ooh, that one's a little bit taller. Maybe it's just this game. Yeah, it's just this game. I grabbed the weird shaped one. This is a slightly taller jewel case, but all the rest are standard sized jewel cases. So their two are the same except for this one because it's a really thick manual. I mean, oh my god. Look at that. That's super thick. But they're the same. They're just normal clamshells. Normal jewel cases. I like that. Then you get the power ones, and you look at this. They look really cool. I like the blue. We got the blue swirl on the console too. It looks really nice. That's the only difference in the consoles. But the same thing. Once you break the cases, that's it. The only way you can replace it is with another Dreamcast game. But yeah, there's like two sections. You usually have the manual at the back, kind of like a Sega CD game. I really should have got one cover that wasn't broken, to be honest. But I'm not a smart man. I believe that's it for that side. So I have some more games, but it's like the consoles I want to talk about next. The Dreamcast. So the only consoles that are actually different, like the NES to the Famicom, that's different. But as I count that as a separate entity. It's not, but it is. It's a different way of doing things. And then you got the SNES to the PAL to the NTSC and to the Super Famicom. And I liked the way that they redesigned the carts for America, and then they gave us the NTSCJ ones. But it's just like you could have had some contiguity between the English nations or between the NTSC nations. But no, there's no rhyme or reason. For the rest of the consoles I own, I'm pretty sure like the only different would be aesthetic. Like for the Dreamcast, you get the red swirl instead of the blue swirl, which we got. But like the Ataris I've seen, the Segas I've seen, like the 3DO, I've got an America 3DO, so I don't know. But Genesis to Mega Drive is just a label difference. 32X looks the same. I've got an American 32X. It looks the same as a Japanese and a NTSC 32X, but different labels. Got Genesis on it. The Mega CD is the same as it's called. It's the Sega CD over there or something. It's a slightly different name. The Neo Geo is the same console. I'm just looking through my consoles on the thing below you. The PS2 looks the same. Xbox looks the same. So it's all the same. It all looks the same. So it's really cool to collect. You have an American NES next to it. an Australian NES, and they look exactly the same. So I like that for the reason that, they look the same. So you have 8 of them, and they all look the same. You have to sort of... I like, being able to pick one out, but then I also like the fact that the SNES is different between the 3 nations. It's really weird the way it works for me. But for the most part, the consoles are the same. And I'm kind of rambling. I'm not really getting to a point here. But we'll continue. Next up, PS2. I don't have any PS1 games from America, but they are different. They use standard dual cases where we, as you can see up there, we use the thick ones like the Dreamcast. For the most part, some of them have thinner ones, like normal sized ones, but they're more rare, believe it or not. So I've got some PS2 games here. Resident Evil, Code Veronica X, and Zone of the Enders. You notice that, like, on the front, there isn't a whole lot of difference besides, the obvious Australian rating board sticker. On the side, however, all Australian and PAL PS2 games look like the top one. They all have the white border with the black text, the same font, same everything. They all look like that. And it's kind of good, if you can have a look. It's good for OCD people, because it looks all exactly the same. But I like the art. I like the Zone of the Enders. You got the little Zone of the Enders logo and all that kind of shit on it. And the same thing goes for the back here. Every one of them has this like white line with the barcode and everything on it. Whereas this is just whatever the fuck you want. Rattling around in there. So I kind of like that. I also like the fact that these are standard black DVD covers, where these are blue with a PS1, PlayStation logo. Even though this has the memory card holder, which is kind of fun. We have some of the ones with memory card holders, but then they got rarer as the system wore on, because I was like, who wants to fucking hold a memory card in there? So they're the same. I'll just quickly go through the rest. GameCube. Besides the obvious difference on the front with the rating, they're exactly the same. The logo's the same, everything's the same. Same at the back, whatever the hell you want. But then you got the side, and this one pisses me off. I'm just gonna, look at that. Why would you do that? Why? Another thing I don't like about these ones, they all seem to have this one colour with the triangle and the same font, well, most of them do anyway. It's annoying to me. Why do that? Why not just say, do whatever you want? It's so angry, it made me drop games. Alright, next up, Wii. I actually kind of like this. It's exactly the same. Front, back, side, exactly the same. Without looking at the rating system, pick which one's American. You can't. Well, except for the fact that Australia didn't have this game, because we don't have ratings, apparently. We got an R rating, and then they fucking refused classification to Saints Row 4. Idiots. What's the point? 3DS. Another one I quite like, because you look at the front, look at the back, and you look at the side. Like the K-Story one's a bit thicker cover, but that's, I think, not standard. Not standard size cover. We have different size covers for everything. And this is the Revelations version, the I Can Spell version. So they're exactly the same. I think the insides are the same too. I really should have checked the insides. Yeah, the insides are the same. So ultimately they're the same covers, with little recycle bits and whatever else. So, and the DS is the same too. I like the DS because DS is region free. And so is the PSP and the PS Vita. But 3DS is not. But I own an American 3DS as well as a Australian 3DS. So that's not a big deal for me. My 3DS XL is American. So I have to get an Australian XL because I'm actually blind, if you didn't notice. Well, I'm not, but I like the big screens. Next one, PS Vita. I could not find the NTSC PSP games I have. But having a quick look, they look exactly the same as well. So I'm happy with the PS Vita, and the fact that it's region free helps. I was over in the States and Canada at the start of this year for my honeymoon. I collected a few PS Vita games because when I bought this overseas, it cost me $20 Canadian, and at the time Canadian and Australian dollars was pretty much at parity. So we'll assume 20 Australian dollars, and over here it's 65. That's ridiculous. Like, standard games here are so fucking expensive. And then I got Gravity Rush, I got Touch My Katamari. What else did I get?
Persona 4 Gold, which actually wasn't released over here at the time. Like a Dragon Hunter Alliance, which was awful.
And that was it. And they cost like $20 each. And over here they are $60, $65. And I think there's a couple of $75 games over here for PS Vita at one stage. That is absolutely ridiculous. I'm actually finished. I've gone through all the consoles I have different games for. Now, the tip here, it's kind of long-winded and it's gone for like probably 20 minutes or so. But the tip here is, if you don't mind having a bit of differences, collect outside your systems, outside your countries, because sometimes you can find a better deal, especially if you're in one of the PAL territories and you want to buy NTSC J or NTSC U games. Japanese games go for really cheap. Like, if you've watched my previous videos, I made that Super Mario RPG cart. It cost me like $12, including materials and postage. And that's a lot cheaper than what you get the American one for. And I had it playing on a PAL system, so that's great for me. What was I saying? But if you do mind the differences, there are some consoles you can still collect for. NES is a good example. The Sega systems are a good example. Or at least the Master System games are all the same throughout the regions. And even the systems are the same. The Sega Saturn games are different covers, which is annoying, very annoying. So it's a Sega CD. Genesis is just that red to the black kind of background change. Jaguar, I have an American one. It's a European one. I'm pretty sure it's the same as the American one. Who collects for the Jaguar anyway? I think if you had a better controller, it would be a much better system. I might actually have to make my own controller for that, because that's just fucking awful. Once again, off topic. Atari is the same. I do have some NTSC Atari games, but I don't know which ones they are. Neo Geo is the same, except for the fact that you got Japanese to American titles, and the American titles are usually a bit more expensive because they were released through jerks. That's a long story. N64 are the same cast, but you do need an international system to play between NTSC and PAL. There is no region mod, sadly. NES, if you have an American NES, you can mod it to play Japanese and Australian and PAL games. Or alternatively, you can get a card converter for that. NES, you can mod to play international games by snipping one pin off a chip. Really easy to do, and it'll make your NES run better. True story. PS2 is the same system, same games, different side, which is a little bit annoying, so you could probably get away with it, but maybe not. PS1's different. PS3, actually, I didn't talk about, but PS3 is exactly the same. Except for like essentials to our classics or platinum, whatever the fuck we call it over here. I don't collect that shit, but yeah, they're exactly the same. Like, you have a look here, White Knight Chronicles down the bottom. I can't be asked getting up. If you can see it, I hope you can. White Knight Chronicles down the bottom is NTSC, and the Uncharted games above it are PAL. And all the rest of the games actually are PAL, except for Ico. And then it looks different because it had the reversible cover, and I like it a little bit different sometimes. So yeah, collecting tip number 2. Go outside your regions if you don't have OCD, and if you do, you still can do a few. I quite like collecting outside of region because it's a lot cheaper for me. As I said, I got this pack of NTSC NES games. I was 130 games, $100 plus 200 and something shipping, and I did not mind because I got Power Stone 2, which is an expensive game, and I got a bunch of box games, and I just got a bunch of games. And over here, that would have cost me thousands, tens of thousands. It's fucking ridiculous. I didn't talk about Xbox 360, but I don't own any international Xbox 360 games. I assume they're the same, and Xbox 2, I assume they're the same. At this point, they're pretty cheap, so I don't care about international collecting. I can get PS2 games for $3, so Xbox 360 games for 7, 10, 14, whatever. Alright. I'm losing my voice. I'm going to stop ranting. That is my game collecting tip number 2. I'll say it again. Collect outside your region. And good deals can still be had on eBay. I will catch you later. Bye.